Hey, gather round, horror hounds and fiends, for another episode of the RottenPop podcast. This is me. I'm your host, Sid Rotten, your guide through the dusty aisles of that old video store that you miss so much. What was it? Hollywood Video? Blockbuster Video? What was your weakness? Well, we're going to go ahead and exploit that weakness and pull some movies out of the video aisle, because each episode we pick 3 flicks with a common thread. And tonight we're celebrating the Italian masters of shock and awe. But before we dive into the depths of these movies, and before we go down these video store aisles, I just want to go ahead and I want to give a shout out to the King Cast and a rest in peace to Mr. Scott Wampler. He was a brilliant mind on that show, the King Cast. Definitely one of my favorite podcasts for years. It is a definite inspiration for all of the work that I've done with RottenPop, and he is definitely going to be missed. Rest in peace, Scott. Go check out the King Cast if you haven't heard the King Cast. It's great. It's a Stephen King podcast. They delve deep into a Stephen King property with a guest every week, or they did. I would go back and actually listen to their episode with Thomas Jane. That episode is gold. Thomas Jane is off his gourd, and I think he and the late Anne Heche are both in that episode on the phone with the 2 hosts at Kingcast. Anyways, rest in peace, Scott, and check out that podcast. Now, let's go ahead and walk down the video aisle, and we're going to go ahead and pull out some movies here. Again, the theme is Italian directors, so we're going to pop on over to the Italian section. What are we going to look at? Are we going to see some giallo? Are we going to see some disgusting horror? No, we're not. We're looking at some sci-fi films, maybe a little bit of horror. But the first movie that I'm seeing here on the shelf, let me pull it out here, is Bruno Mattei's Rats, Night of Terror. Now, that's got to tickle your fancy a little bit, right? Everybody loves some rodents. Everybody loves the vermin. Then we're going to go ahead. Oh, I see another one here. Tonino Ricci's A Man Called Rage. Now, I've never heard of this one, and I don't think that I've seen anything by Tonino Ricci yet, so I'm very excited about this. And then finally, we're going to bask in the glory of the master. I know that there's got to be one by him. Here we go. We're going to look at Warriors of the Year 2072 by Lucio Fulci. However I decide to pronounce it, it's how we're going to pronounce it today. I am definitely going to be messing up names. Go ahead and rip me a new one down in the comments, though, if you feel that you got to do that. So, we're going to go ahead and pop these movies in. We're going to take a look at a little time travel back to 1984 when these movies were coming out, probably in Italy. I think one of them came out in Germany first. But we're going to take a little trip back to 1984 and watch these movies and see if they're worth taking a look at or checking out today. And we're going to do all of that right after these messages.
J.C. Penney presents Salute to Italy. The style, the fashion.
Salute!
It's a taste of Italy for all your senses.
Salute!
At all large penny stores now.
You're looking smarter than ever, J.C. Penney.
Salute.
Who could stop them, and how? Rats are here, under our feet, all around us. Seething, teeming millions, their little red eyes gleaming with rage and hunger, and they're waiting for you.
I don't do that, it tickles.
Tonight, because this is your night of terror, here come the rats.
I hope that was cool. We're trying a little something with that, and theming the commercials that you're going to see here from 1984. All of these commercials that you're going to see on this podcast today are from 1984, and they all have something to do with this theme too. So it's kind of fun, right? Tying that in. Let me know below what you think about that. Should I change that? Should I keep that going? Do you like seeing these old commercials? Should I do separate videos for commercials? I already do Rotten TV. I was thinking about doing some commercial blocks for Rotten TV, but anyways. This part here is about the first movie that we're taking a look at off of that shelf. And it is the next movie that I'm watching for the 150 movies of 1984. And that movie is Rat's Night of Terror. It comes to us from the team of Bruno Mattei and Claudio Fragrasso, who I gotta admit I've had a terrible time watching their movies. Zombie 3 stands out for being just absolutely horrible. I really didn't like it. And one thing, though, is this movie does have Greta in it. And I don't know if you're familiar with her. She's an actress from Portland. But this is going to be one of her earlier roles before she goes on to work for Lamberto Bava. And she'll be in his movie Demons. Really awesome film. That movie is great. Take a look. Go find that one, because that's fantastic. That's way better than Rat's Night of Terror. And it's got, just cool effects, just like most of these Italian horror and sci-fi films. It's got really cool effects. But anyways, I digress from that. We're talking about Rat's Night of Terror, and it's got a pretty intriguing premise. I kind of liked it. It's got this deal going on where it's post-apocalyptic, so there's these survivors who are looking for food all out, and they get into this building and they're overrun by rats, pretty aggressive rats, and the movie just fails, and it's pretty ridiculous. The effects they're practical, but they are not good at all. I really did not like how they treated the animals in this movie. A lot of them, the rats, were killed on screen. That is a huge no-no. Do not at all. If you are a filmmaker and you're out there and you are abusing animals for your craft just so that you can get the desired outcome on your film, you're disgusting. That's way cheating. That is cutting corners to the max, and that's just bad. It's bad stuff. Everything from Lion of the Desert, terrible stuff. They were just killing horses in that movie like crazy. So if you are abusing animals to make your movies, quit it and do better, and don't do that shit. Stop people from abusing animals. Regardless of that, though, sorry for that rant on animal abuse. I'm just on a ranty mood right now. Rat's The Night of Terror has really terrible acting. Again, terrible, bad special effects. They abuse animals. The post-apocalyptic setting seemed useless. I don't understand why they had to have a post-apocalyptic setting. They didn't really have any explanation of what was going on. It had a little bit of a campy charm. There were a few pretty funny moments.
Come on, stop that. Having to listen to you two humping is pretty nasty.
Hey, rat, that tickles.
But the ending is the best part of the whole movie. In fact, the ending of this film, that's all that this should have been. This should have been a 10-minute short film, and it should have just been that. That's it. And then the ending, and then that's it. I'm not going to spoil that here, but you definitely have to see that ending to really grasp the entire picture. RottenPop didn't really like this movie. Gonna have to give it 1.5 stars. Right now, I've only watched 13 movies from 1984, and this is resting at about number 12. Number 12 out of 13. Not good. Not good at all. Anyways, we've got another commercial coming up, and then we're coming right back with A Man Called Rage.
Now is the time for a real Italian dance party. Arrivederci featuring the fabulous Festa Roma Band. It's the record offer you've been waiting for. It's Italian Dance Party. All the great old Italian favorites, done with all the excitement and fever of a Saturday night festa. Here's a chance to have your own dance party at home for all to enjoy, young and old. 20 all-time Italian hits for your dancing or listening pleasure. The giant, all-new Italian Dance Party. Great entertainment for friends and family, tonight or any night. Remember, you can't buy it in any store. Ciao, caro amici.
To order, call 1-800-453-2900. To save COD charges, use your credit card or send $9.99 for the record, $11.99 for 8-track or cassette tape, plus $2 postage and handling to Italian Dance Party. P.O. Box 1200, Binghamton, New York. But for faster delivery, call 1-800-453-2900 now.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So we're going to be talking now about A Man Called Rage, a movie by Tonino Ricci, who I haven't really explored before. And after watching this movie, I don't know if I'm going to want to explore many more movies that this guy has to offer. So this is one of those movies that has a painfully mismatched soundtrack. There's a scene in this where our lead is fighting someone to a near Kenny G song. It's horrible. Anyways, the movie is about this mercenary who gets hired by a group of survivors, underground dwellers, to go and try and find a uranium deposit at a nearby settlement. Along the way, our mercenary named Rage encounters one of his old comrades named Slash. See these Rage and Slash, these terrible contrived names. And along the way, there's a lot of gunfights and action, and it turns into this Western, almost, where they find a train that works somehow in the wasteland, where the rails have not been destroyed. Very odd. And they get on this train, and they use this train to make a quick getaway, and along the way, there's a Volvo chasing them. It's this long chase scene at the end. That's probably the best part of the movie. But it is just, it doesn't scream wasteland to me. It doesn't scream way far in the future to me. This is supposed to take place like 100 or 200 and something years after the bombs dropped in the Third World War. So this takes place way far in the future. And one of these cars in this chase scene is like a clean Volvo, a gold Volvo, a bunch of Jeeps, a bunch of guys in BMX outfits, like 80s BMX outfits, like the kids in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. You know, those old Santa Cruz looking BMX outfits, yeah, with the helmets and everything. And none of that screams post-apocalypse to me, so very, very odd that they would go with that. But anyways, I digress. The film struggles with a boring lead, laughable dialogue, and convoluted plot. You said that again. The budgetary constraints are evident, resulting in unintentional humor and continuity errors. Yeah, definitely. It's a slog to get through because of that. And again, the climax is just the best part of the movie. You should definitely, maybe if you want to watch this movie, only watch the end of it, because there's really nothing else that you need to pay attention to. The budgetary constraints, it's a cheap movie, and it's very apparent from the get-go. I understand cheap movies, I like cheap movies, but it's not... when you try to take too big of a bite, or when it's too obvious that it's going to be horrible, there's no way to get around it. You need to use a lot of exposition, and when your exposition is terribly written, you don't want any of that. So a lot of that those problems. The lead actor, Bruno Mattei, very boring. I didn't enjoy him. Anyway, despite all these shortcomings, like I said, watch the end of the movie. That's probably the only part that you need to see. The shootout between the train chase, that's all great. Overall, though, A Man Called Rage is a dud. It lacks suspense. There's no need to watch this. Number 13 out of all 13 films that I've watched so far. Just the worst. The Pits. It only gets half a star from me.
Cosa c'è? Cosa c'è dentro te? Cosa c'è dentro te? Forse tu non lo sai, c'è un piccolo cuore di panna. C'è un cuore di panna per noi, nei momenti teneri.
Cornetto algida, cuore di panna.
Se tu lo vuoi, un cuore di panna per noi.
It comforts me to know that you haven't changed in 7 years, Cortez. You're still a snake.
You chimp. Really stupid.
Who is going to be the first to fly?
You thrilled to the savage intensity of hand-to-hand combat. Now you're in for another exceptional human contest. The fight to the finish chariot race. 20 perilous laps of no-holds motorized conflict. Death is the penalty for a gladiator who leaves the track or refuses combat. Death will ride with every man as he fights for his life.
Has Cortez ordered any other changes in the official program?
Affirmative.
What changes?
All surviving gladiators to be dematerialized 20 minutes after end of games.
All right, and lastly, we're going to be taking a look at Lucio Fulci's Warriors of the Year 2072. I loved this one. I thought it was great. I love Fulci movies. Big fan of his work. This is visually striking, just like most of his work. It's ambitious. It's a sci-fi film that's set in a dystopian future where society's thirst for entertainment has reached a fever pitch. Framed for his wife's murder, television star Drake, not that Drake Kendrick, calm down, is thrust into the deadly world of gladiatorial combat, forced to fight for his life in a televised spectacle known as the WBS Gladiator Contest. The film showcases Fulci's characteristic flair for the macabre with impressive practical effects and striking imagery that transport viewers into a gritty, decaying future world. I really, like I said, loved this one. This was fantastic and a breath of fresh air for this week after Rats, Night of Terror, and A Man Called Rage. Those were entertaining in their own right, but Fulci's movies come with this quality that is almost unparalleled among his peers there in Italy. When you look at like Bruno Mattei's work, even when you look at Lombardo Bava's work, there's still a novice at work there, whereas with Lucio Fulci's work, it feels like he's more of a auteur at this point. His veteran status, I believe, just allows him to be more creative and just produce a better quality product. That's why I feel like Fulci can go ahead and take a very big bite out of an apple and really make it work still. His projects are always ambitious And even though he doesn't have the best finances behind him, and even though these movies are usually pretty cheap, he does a really good job of solving the problem of putting whatever it is on screen, whether it is a gladiatorial motorcycle fight, whether it is a piece of glass going through somebody's face, whether it is a zombie rising from the dead, no matter what it is, Fulci really has a knack for delivering an entertaining and thoroughly enjoyable package, whether or not it looks great. And that's a testament to his work as an artist, I think. For this movie, he does a really good job of building this world, this future world, and he uses models, a lot of small models, kind of like Ishiro Honda had used with Godzilla and his Godzilla pictures, except this is all made to sort of reflect the Blade Runner style of the future, with screens that have people's faces on them, like this totalitarian sort of Orwellian look at Rome. And it's interesting because there are small models of some very historic places, and these small models are cut in with these futuristic buildings. It looks really neat. I've seen some people complain because it looks very cheap, but with a lot of these miniatures, it's easy to tell, and you have to give yourself sort of a little bit of believability when you're looking at these things, you know, just like you can't look at it too hard or else you're always going to find a flaw. All of the lights tend to move the same way on the highway. It doesn't look like there's any independent movement. All of the lights appear uniform and the same size. Whatever it may be, it's still done really well in this movie. And to accompany that, the characters are done really well. Fulci does a really good job at delivering some top-tier characters. Jared Martin is our lead actor here, and he's fantastic as Drake. Watching him turn from this beloved celebrity into a hardened warrior is kind of quick, I will admit that, and that could have used a bit more, let's say, time in the oven. But Fred Williamson, he comes in and he starts rounding out the cast there. Once you see Fred Williamson, you instantly are put into good hands. He's a staple of action genre, and we've seen him a couple of times now on the RottenPop program here. And then we've got Al Cliver and Claudio Casanelli rounding out the talent. I mean, really fantastic stuff. Screenwriting by Dardano Setchiti, and a few others. It's a fantastic picture that's put together really well. It's gonna really entertain you. I think that a lot of people should see this one, especially if they're interested in watching a post-apocalyptic gladiatorial film. Then this really is going to be it. This is like one of the first ones that you should check out to see if you want to continue going down this path. It's going to appeal to fans of Fulci's work, of course. I mean, like, it appeals to me. If you're a cult cinema enthusiast, if you are anybody that's looking for something different, you don't want to see the same Chris Hemsworth movies over and over again, this is going to be right up your alley. So check it out. RottenPop gives this, 3 stars? 3 stars out of 5? That's great. Check this movie out. Warriors of the Year 2072.
Coca-Cola di più, sulla spiaggia sole sai che un giorno di allegria avrai, ma per quello che fai, per la voglia che hai, Coca-Cola è più giusta che mai. Coca-Cola di più, rinfrescarti sempre sa, da di più, sa dissetarti al massimo, da di più, con questo gusto unico, da di più, Coca-Cola di più.
All right, and then so that was our episode for today. I hope that you liked it. I really enjoyed watching these movies. I love watching these old Italian pictures. They're fantastic. It's like looking into a different world. A lot of these movies I'd never heard of before, and there just seems to be an endless supply. So many different new icons like Bruno Mattei, even though his movies seem to be a bit questionable. It's still fun. There's still a bunch of original ideas. It doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. Well, I like these movies quite a bit. You're going to see a lot more of these hopefully coming up on the next edition of the Rotten Pop podcast. It's going to be a musical episode as we're visiting Streets of Fire, I believe, Purple Rain, and Footloose. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Let me know how much you loved this and how much you just want to hear so much more about it. Support RottenPop. Buy one of my t-shirts. I have all of my links on Instagram over at RottenFlix, on Letterboxd, at RottenPop, YouTube here at RottenPop. Yeah, I'm an easy person to get a hold of, so get a hold of me and let me know what you think about these movies too. Which movies from 1984 do you want me to cover? Let me know down below. Keep watching more film. It's imperative. It's imperative to our future generations. Do it!
Let's all go to the lobby.